प्रणाम क्वांटो लाइफ के सभी दर्शकों को। हम सब लोगों को बहुत खुशी है, आज हम सब मिले हैं एक बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुल बहुत सुंदर सत्र में। हम हिंदी में सिर्फ आमंत्रण दे रहे हैं, पूरी चर्चा हमारी अंग्रेजी में रहेगी और जिनको भी लगता है कि आपको कुछ हमें मटेरियल हिंदी में भी चाहिए तो आप प्लीज चैट में हमें बताएं ताकि हम उसका भी एक कार्यक्रम स्पेशल आपके लिए तैयार करें। प्रणाम शिवो, प्रणाम मानसी, प्रणाम अतिन। और हमारे साथ संग में हैं बहुत सारे लोग पीछे बैक एंड में जो ये 84 महादेव के कार्यक्रम में जुड़े हुए हैं। गुड इवनिंग, good morning, good afternoon. The world is one because the sun rises in different parts of the world. And we are connected today in this stream with all of us who are the sadhak of Quanto Life. Quanto Life's gurus are present, and it's my pleasure to give my namaskar to Shivo, Quanto Shivo, and to the co-founder, Quanto Mansi. And it's also my pleasure to invite our channel for today's program, the 84 Mahadev program, Atin Tripathi ji. So I would like to invite first Atin to tell us a little introduction to the program that we are conducting today. Over to you, Atin.
So, thank you, Jayaji. Am I audible?
Yes, please
Okay.
go ahead.
So, thank you. Okay. So, thank you, Jayaji. So, welcome everyone in this session, in this insightful session of 84 Mahadev. And today we are going to talk about 84 Mahadev from basic to deep insight. So, let me begin with the blessings of Mahadev and definitely my Guru, Quanto Shivo and Mansi, and Jayaji, who is our guide. So, what is 84 Mahadev? So, let me share with you. We have, in Ujjain, we all know the name of Ujjain. It is a holy place. And in Ujjain, there's a Mahakal, and so many people around the world come traveling here to Ujjain to receive the blessing of Mahakal. And there are so many temples in Ujjain. So Shakti Peeths are there, Samadhi places are there. So these are the spiritual land. This is the holy land where so many sadhak has did their tapasya. So there are 84 Mahadev temples also there in Ujjain, and these 84 Mahadev temple are ancient temple which are more than 5,000 year old, and each temple has a story, a Puranic katha, which is narrated by Mahadev himself to Ma Parvati. So this area where these temples lie is called Mahakal Van, because definitely at the time, these so many years, thousands of years, it was a forest, Mahakal Van, and Ujjain has a different name. So that the story, these stories are from where there was a Mahakal Van. Uh, so these stories has a very deep insight. So normally people here do 84 Mahadev in 2-3 days. The yatra happened 2-3 days. So what happened? I normally don't go to used not to go to temple. Because I was not aware about the significance of these ancient temples. And definitely as we grow up in the spiritual land called Ujjain or any Tirth, if you grow up, so people say you are very, Sobhagyashali, you are very fortunate. Even if you born in this place, they are fortunate and they get the liberation. Even if you born and die in this place, they get liberation. So I used to really wonder that people really when people live in this spiritual place, they want to go out. They say that we are fortunate, but that fortune does not reflect mostly, because definitely the bhakti is there, but the important thing is that they want to go out. evolution part, which people long and people go prefer to go outside Ujjain. Definitely, it's good, but evolutionary part. Shivoka sir down one day, and I went with Shivo sir Mahakal, and Shivo sir told me the conscious significance of the temple, how to connect deeply with Mahakal, and how to experience, transformation, evolution in Mahakal. From that day, I never come empty-handed from Mahakal. Every time I get some insight, I get some blessing or some transformation. I get spiritual outer transformation. I started getting. Then how this project started? Then I started going to this 84 temples, and this 84 Mahadev. I used to wonder why 84, because Mahadev is one. Why 84 Mahadev? So when I started going this temple, and definitely I did in a traditional way, where 3-4 days we completed, in 7 days we completed, because we are locals. So we completed 7 days. In one day we completed 7-8 temples. In each temple, when I even sit for a 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I started feeling a different shift in this temple. Every temple gives me a different shift. When I enter temple and when I come out, I start, as per guidance of Shiva, so how to go to temple and receive the blessing, meditate. I started feeling the different shift. Then Shiva sir come down in Ujjain, and Shiva sir, I was very curious about. Then Shiva sir said there, and each temple Shiva sir started giving a very very deep insight about these temples, and he said these are the 84 dimension of consciousness. These are the 84 human which are possible. That dimension. Then we started experiencing this. Started invoking different Mahadev, and to my surprise, people from anywhere in the world sitting there and started experiencing the same feeling, the same transformation which I was feeling there. If I feeling something there, and they started replicating the same feeling. Then she also told me that start with the people you go to temple. You bring people online and you meditate with them. And we started doing as per his guidance, and people started feeling the shift. So from there, from 2 years, where people completed from 1 to 84. She was given us a deeper insights of each temples, because in each temple there is a certain lessons for us, and there is a certain subconscious pattern which resolves there majorly, and we introspected in each temple what is in me, and that bring us the transformation, the shift within us. So this is where how the journey started, and we completed one cycle. And so this is the project, and in between so many things, so many insights has come. So these 84 stories has all treasures of the deep insight of which is applied in the present world. So this is what the project and is, and we are continuing this. This cycle will continue, and we have seen so many shift and miracles in so many people who have joined this 84 Mahadev. So this is what I want to share initially. Jayaji, thank you.
Thank you so much, Atin, so wonderfully introducing and giving us a flavor of what is the topic of discussion today. You have initiated three very interesting points. The first point, that you began going to these temples with a level of awareness and alertness, and the magic was experienced by you. And in doing so, this was your first part. The second part was actually knowing the way to seek and receive the blessings. To become aware of yourself, one part you mentioned, and the second part you mentioned that there is a way to receive the blessings. And there is a way to understand the consciousness. The third that you mentioned, that the power that you experienced, you didn't want to be selfish and keep it to yourself. And that you thought that this was going to be a great opportunity under the guidance of Shivo and Mansi to share this very historic, very momentous, very powerful experience that you got, that should be shared with a whole lot of people. And with the advent of technology, it was possible for us to ensure that a lot of people jointly participated in the darshan, and darshan for all the viewers from around the world is a way to get a video look at the temple, at the inside of the temple, and the way the worshipping happens. These are multitude of temples in the temple city of Ujjain, and that you mentioned so beautifully that it is stationed in the Mahakal. Thank you. And I think I will want you to be available on screen so that we can continue to have a little small insights, as today's conversation um, is going to be with the people who have given the guidance to this 84 Mahadev program. It's a very large scope program, but today we are going to talk about the consciousness and how to link our own pilgrimage, whichever we do, however we do, to this level of consciousness, and what insights can we draw from the 84 Mahadev program. Over the last 2 years, beautiful insights have come. We have heard, I was one of the sadhaks, so I am very blessed to have been part of this journey, completing all the 84 Mahadev darshan with you, Atin, under the guidance of Shivo and Mansi, and with a very beautiful storytelling by our own Suman, who told us what is written in a ancient epic called the Purana. Purana means something that doesn't have a particular date, but we know is way past 4-5 thousand years. So I'm so blessed, and let me first request Shivo and Mansi to give their initial words on this conversation. Over to you, Shivo. You're muted. Yeah.
Yes, hi.
Hello.
Uh, so, what I would like to say is that the beauty of this project is that each of the temple has a story, and those stories are written in Puranas, so we know where to start from. However, what we need to understand that those stories uh, cannot be applied directly in today's times because those are the stories that were written 5,000 years back, and that was a different consciousness. So our effort here is to reinterpret those stories for today's times. So what we are doing is we go through a story, we experience the vibrational field, and we understand what it is doing, what it means, how it cleansed us, how it opened new possibilities, and based on that, we reinterpret the stories that were written 5,000 years back into the modern current context. So, this concept has got a beginning in past, and it has also it has experience in present as a vibrational field, and what it could do for us in future. For that, there are insights. So that is what the presence of the past, present, and future makes this concept a very impactful, powerful one.
Thank you. Thank you, Shiva. Mansi, your initial words, please.
Um, Pranam, everyone. So I'll say that Atin being in Ujjain is a blessing for all of us. Shivo giving this insights, and every every week we have had a darshan of a different dimension, a different consciousness of the cosmos. Because Shiva is the consciousness of the cosmos. And what have been amazed me about is how we have been able to have a personal connect with the different dimensions of Mahadev. We may be in different parts of the world. I am not even in the time zone. Definitely, I'm not in Ujjain. And yet, um, there is a very, very deep psychic experience of Mahadev. And not only do you feel connected to Mahadev, you feel Mahadev is also connected to you. And I think during the course of this conversation, maybe we will talk about the different synchronicities that have happened, where Mahadev has shown how he's connected to us, when we have connected to him. And I think that is the beauty of this, that you can have you can have a very, very personal connection with Mahadev, and he will have a personal connection with you. And as Shivo said, it is very relevant. These stories, when you look at them, they don't seem to fit our everyday world. And yet, when you connect to that consciousness, that consciousness is still relevant, because the consciousness is eternal. The interpretation and the relevance of how to apply it in our life changes. But the consciousness is eternal, and we are connecting to that eternal consciousness and applying it to our everyday life. So, this is what I felt is the beauty of this 84 Mahadev project.
So wonderfully spoken, both of you. My interest today, truly, is to help our viewers and our learners become part of this exciting but very, very seriously introspective journey. And this journey calls upon us to have a very clear understanding of where we stand as beings, as humans in this life, and what we carry within us as genes, as our past memories. So, Shivo alluded to this. There is a past story that is being told. This is a Shiva telling the story to Parvati. And this story in this space and time zone of 5,000 years back, sometimes we don't understand. And Mansi, you mentioned very nicely that sometimes we don't see the relevance of the story. So, what I want to ask is, how do we position our pilgrim process, any pilgrimage that we take? What is some fundamental must do as a precursor to a pilgrimage like the 84 Mahadev pilgrimage? Shivo first and then Mansi.
Yeah, so there is a paradox in the question itself. What we must do, I would say, after doing all, when we drop all the doing, that's where it arrives. So, experiencing any consciousness, experiencing any vibration is very easy in any temple that's a really vibrant one, especially the pilgrimages. Uh, I mean, a lot of famous pilgrimages uh, that are there in so many parts of India, or there are so many temples, powerful temples in every city you will find. At least there is in every city you'll find at least one very powerful Mahadev temple. So the problem is in what we do. So what we do in a temple? We go in a temple, we are in a crowd and we are trying hard to reach for the darshan, to have the darshan of deity, or you will have Rudravishek, right? Or you will sing and praying, you're doing mantra chanting, you're offering flowers, right? Continuously, you're doing something in temple. And I'm not saying don't do it, but while you're doing, you will not experience. It's difficult to experience. When will you experience? When you drop all the doing, sit down, if possible, near the garbh, sit down there. Or if you don't have the place to sit down, with your back at the wall so that you can more relax, just stare. And it's there in the air, that's it. And if you are sitting, just feel around what's around you. That's it. That is the darshan. I mean, that is a real darshan. That's how you will experience the vibrational field.
Beautiful.
It's
Beautiful.
actually very simple. I'm really inviting everyone to just go to a temple, do nothing, just sit down and feel the space. You will have the real divine experience, the real experience of divinity.
Wow. Wow. Mansi?
Uh, Jayaji, here I'll say that you just you just come in front of the deva. You may be mad, you may be a skeptic, you may be a believer, you may be very intelligent, you may be very naive. It doesn't matter. You just come in front of him, and then he will come in front of you. He will catch you. If you have any genuine questions, if you are like, how would this even work? Ask him. He will answer. If you want to accelerate the process, be authentic. Okay, be very authentic. You are completely naked and transparent in front of Mahadev. He is everywhere. And just be there. Even if you are coming in a non-authentic stuff, those just be there, appear. You don't need any prior preparation. You only have to appear there, and then he will take over. Whatever preparation is there, it is to do. You only appear. Don't think that you don't have to wait for a special occasion. You don't have to wait a special time. If you ask me what is the time, I would say now. If you would say which place, I would say here. So just in the here and now, just be in front of him, and he will, and then it's his thing to do. It's not yours. You just have to appear.
Beautiful, beautiful. In fact, it was a teaser question. What must one do? In fact, one must not do anything. Beautiful. One must not do anything. One does not have to do any rituals. What are we doing, therefore, when we go to a 84 Mahadev darshan? What is it that we do? We tap into the vibrational field. How does it tap into my place sitting here in Greater Noida, in around 900,000, maybe 1,500 kilometers away? Shivo, how do these vibrations actually traverse this gap and just come to us? Because we experienced it. We experienced it in the 84 Mahadev Darshan that was channeled through Atin for all of the sadhaks who were part of this process. Please do guide us on that part of it. Muted? You're muted?
There is a quantum process of quantum principle of entanglement that any two particles or any two electrons, if they were together at some point of time, at two different, at the boundary of galaxy in two different directions, yet they are interconnected. So we all were one with Mahadev at some point, maybe billions of years back or millions of years back. So we are still connected. We just need to feel him. That's it. And when you connect, when you feel him, when you remember, that remembrance has a particular frequency, and it will just catch upon the frequency of the temple. And what makes it easier is the darshan on internet, number one. Number two, what makes it easier is a kind of time we are in. uh, I've often been talking about the plasma, the transit through the plasmic disk, the galactic galactic disk or equator. What we are passing through, that is the zone of plasma. So when you are in the plasmic zone, the electromagnetic field has become so high that all kind of electric impulses, whether be it positive or negative, travels very fast. So all kind of thoughts, all kind of feelings, all kind of, they all travel very fast. That's why it's very easy to connect to Mahadev on internet. Um, and not just that, it's even easy to connect with anyone you like. So probably this darshan has become very effective ever since 1997, since the time the plasmas started to become more and more dense. Maybe some such kind of darshan won't be possible after 800,000 years. Even if there is technology, those darshan probably may not be possible, because then the plasma will not be very strong. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's your intention, it's the your intention, your technology, and the context of plasma. Three things that makes these darshan very impactful.
Thank you. Mansi?
Jaji, I will say that the the internet is very much like a psychic space.
Mm,
It is, um, in internet, it is a technology that empowers this, uh, and in psychic space, it is the psychic connection. But they are very similar. They are a natural fit for each other. Like for example, with technology, with internet, you can connect to someone instantaneously in a different part of the world, and that's also something that you can do with psychic. Now now the difference is, in a psychic field, you are connecting to not just people in this dimension, you're connecting to consciousness in different dimensions. For example, every temple, I would say, is like a wormhole. It is a way where you are connecting to a whole different dimension of consciousness, maybe much higher than you. And in those places, in wormholes, time and space are very flexible, they are very mutable, they are very malleable. And this is what happens in the temple. So there is, I think the temple is a yantra. It is a device that is perhaps not completely, and may not be completely understood by us. But it is a device that is perhaps not completely understood by us. And in that device, there is a frequency that are very malleable. And this is what happens in the temple. So there is, I think the temple is a yantra. It is a device that is perhaps not completely, and may not be completely understood by us. But the closest thing we have to understanding how this works is probably internet and technology.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it is just, it's a marvel how it works, but it always works. And
Wow.
I think that even after 2 years, we can continue to get amazed by it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Shivo, please.
so this is very interesting actually, because we all, in the sci-fi movies and all those great books of Stephen Hawkins and all that, we hear this concept of wormhole. And it was very interesting when Mansi mentioned this first time. And I was actually shocked that yes, the temples are the wormholes. Uh, because you sit in a temple, the time and space collapses, and through that, what is a wormhole? In wormhole, it's a short passage to any other dimension of universe.
Dimension or time?
Yeah, anywhere,
Consciousness or
any
time?
universe or any time. So actually, the temples are that you travel to any time and to any space. That's what a temple is. It's the I would say most stunning description of a temple. The temple is wormhole.
Shivo, when I was a small
Uh,
child,
yeah.
I used to be told that there is a prana pratishtha that is done in the temple, and there is a stamba. Stamba is a pillar, a flagpole that is placed, the bottom of which has a recording of what and when the temple got consecrated. And the flag is like an antenna. It is supposed to receive the signal from the cosmos. In a sense, the the ancient practice of finding places that are high vibrational fields, I think, was known, and we are now discovering in our Quanto life that it doesn't have to be a physical space. We could have that same kind of a harmonious matching of the vibrations. And once we tap into it, we are beautifully, connected to that space. So, Shivo, my question is, are all temples and all pilgrimages an opportunity such as the one that we have experienced in the last 2 years in the 84 Mahadev?
See, all pilgrimages are different. All temples are different. Some temples are more conscious than others. Uh, for example, in Himalayas, you will find temples that are very conscious. Uh, some places are very high vibration places, like Ujjain is. Um in some of the places, there have been a lot of yogis and tapasvis and siddhas who have done tapa there. So their vibration. At some places, a lot of people have come, they have surrendered. See, the point is the place is pure. The place will vibrate very high. The more the amount of surrender, that is a Mahadev temple vibrates more if there is a more surrender present there. It depends on the kind of surrender that is present. It might be through some great tapasvi, it might be through a lot of people, it might be through the consciousness of the people around the temple. It might be because of, even every piece of land has a different consciousness, a different kind of vibrations. I was very shocked when I was doing a lot of research, when the Judaism was born, and the period it remained a very powerful religion. Exactly at that point of time, in that part of the world, there was a very strong uh, magnetic stone movement inside the earth that was scientifically recorded, and there was the electromagnetic field in that time and space was extremely high, and that's what created the Judaism. And as that stone moved away, that magnetic stone moved away
There
from
was a
there,
decline.
very shocked. I was very shocked. This is a total scientific finding. And then I connected, oh my God, this is exactly the period where Judaism was born. And then it also, it dwindled. And it was exactly in that part of the world. So there are also a lot of magnetic movement inside the Earth. So that also keep impacting. There are also planetary, which planets are becoming strong. That also impacts. And yes, irrespective of all that, the consciousness of India is very high, because India was that part of the earth where, the two plates of the earth, they collided, and because of the collision, the Himalayas were created. Okay, so Himalayas are like you are rising from earth to the skies, and that's the consciousness we have in the regions around Himalaya.
Wow.
From earth, you're rising to the skies. That human longing is represented by Himalayas. The downloading of the cosmic vibration into the humans, that is most experienced at the North Pole, and it is according to the Tilak's great book on Vedas, that's called Arctic Home of Vedas. He has explained so beautifully that the Vedas developed in the Arctic circles, and that's where the concept of download was very strong. So in India, when the Aryans came here 8,000, according to Tilak, Aryan came here 8,000 years back. So they brought with them the concept of download, and already in India existed the concept of humans longing to rise high in the form of Upanishads, which said Aham Brahmasmi, and that's a statement of human longing to rise high as God. So the Upanishads and Vedas, they became one. So it is like a both-way circuit. There is a longing to move up, and there is the downloading of what is divine into the earth. So both the consciousness are present in India, and that's what is the beauty of the Hinduism.
Wow. Wow. Mansi, one part of this was about the synchronicity that you mentioned in your opening remarks. That, when Shivo mentions download on one side and this longing on another side, quite similar in character. I believe that things are just falling in place, and all of us who are in conversation today are all scientists, and we all are not blind faith believers. We are into deep inquiry. We are curious. We are willing to look at the larger expanding dimension and the innermost breakdown dimensions. So I think we have really touched upon the concept of consciousness. So please comment on this synchronicity and this understanding.
Yeah, Jayashree, I would like to share a few things before I come to conclusion. One is that when you mentioned the word a material, it's matter, it is divine energy. You're calling divine energy to enter into matter, right? But in the moment you said the word pran pratishtha, the the immediate channeling that came to me was that, this pran pratishtha is an ongoing thing. Every time a prana comes and gets darshan, calls to Shiva, Shiva comes again. And I am getting this feeling that with the insights of Shiva, with the stories of Suman, all the sadhaks who've been working, I think taking us there, no, the prana of the every ling, of all those 84 lings, is increasing and rising. And I invite people to join this because your prana is also uniting. We are all Shaktis. In that story where Shiva is talking to Shakti, in that wormhole, we are all there. We are all listening to Shakti. We are making that same journey. Maybe as Shakti, or maybe as a Deva soul. Maybe some of us are Pishats and all. Maybe some of us have been kings. We are all making that journey. But every time we are going for darshan, or every time darshan is happening, our pranas are merging, and there is a pran pratishtha happening. Shiva is coming again in the linga. Shiva shared some very, very interesting stories. Not stories, but real mythology. And mythology, I mean something that is eternal. And he shared what happened during Judaism. That reminded me, 77 million years ago, the Indian subcontinent was very much at the southern hemisphere. It was in the southern hemisphere. And it is the continent, or it is a subcontinent, which actually moved, and it hit against what was the remaining part of Asia. And in that rising up, the Himalayas were created. And I feel this is the longing of our Indian subcontinent. This rise in Kundalini, from the root, or from the southern hemisphere at the lowermost part, and going up, and with the Himalayas becoming the crown, and maybe Ujjain or Avantika is the heart.
You just hit the nail. You just hit the nail, because Ujjain, in that Gondwana land space,
yes,
is the tectonic plate, scientifically, geologically, that actually took that point. And it is at that time zone point, which is that it is called Mahakal. In fact, if you look at it geologically, it is the perfect spot.
Yes.
It's amazing as how science merges here. I so love this conversation.
And as Shiva saying, the history. Shiva said, when something is truth, it will be truth from every angle, right? So from geological point of view, from historical point of view, from mythological point of view, from experience point of view, from transformational, from psychic, everywhere you get this thing. And Avantika, as it used to be called, has that kind of geometry. The ones there, the Mahakal one, it is still vibrating. It is holding the consciousness. That is what sacred forests do. They hold that consciousness. And I feel that it is the region of the heart, and which is why, maybe in the Himalayas, there's a certain kind of person who can get that transformation. I feel that Avantika is a place where everyone can get that transformation. Whether you're a housewife, whether you're a king, whether you are a bhoot, whether you are a ghost, whether you are someone who is not liberated, whether you are a student, a rishi, someone who's very egoistic, whether you're a king, whether you're asura, whether you're rakshas. In the heart, everything unites. Maybe they can't go right up right now to the Himalayas. Maybe they can't, the lower sections are very difficult, but in the heart, everything unites. And I feel that is what Avantika is. That is what, the Shipra, it's not the Ganga, but there is a consciousness that is for everyone, where everyone can experience that rise. Jayaji, that's what I wanted to add. I don't know if you want to come back to synchronicities later, but I just felt like...
Yeah, so I thank you so much for that beautiful insight.
Jayaji, I want to just put one thing. here what
Please,
Mansi
please,
said.
please, yeah.
So really, I'm really grateful to Mansi because the kind of insight which Shiva Sir Mansi gave and is really very mind blowing, and it really confirms because what you are receiving, because you always look for up to the master that am I going right, and if I'm receiving something. So I also received one message from Mahadev that because that more people will join this, as Mansi says, the Pride Pratishtha, the more and more people will join because this is a movement basically, and those who are joining is contributing towards the consciousness because it is moving towards consciousness. So each person who is joining this 84 Mahadev is contributing to the humanity basically. He is not contributing to himself, but he is contributing to humanity because the more people will join, this consciousness of 84 Mahadev will be available to more people and more easily basically. When the more people will join, and the you know the consciousness, even if you are if you are non-meditator or whoever the person is, they will receive more easily. Right now maybe the yogi may be getting that type of experience of their consciousness, but the more people will join, the more this consciousness expand and available to the humanity. Even the who are not yogi will start experiencing the transformation, because it is written in this story, by only being by darshan you transform, and this will start happening. By darshan you will come out, and I think this is the call of the time also, because we need quick transformation. We need, because as Shiva sir and so many masters said that what type of time is coming. So that quick mechanism is needed where the transformation happen, even if you are not sorry, even if you just look and the transformation happen, even if you just so that will happen when more and more people will experience this transformation and join, and this will expand and will be available. So this just confirm what I was feeling and what Mansi is now guiding, or very very beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Atin. That was very contextual as to how, and you touched upon a topic that I was going to talk about. Over the next 10 minutes or so, I would like to have a conversation around getting the layers peeled off, the subconscious things that we don't want to hold on to when we are wanting to unite our aspiration to be one with the divine. We want to let go of our subconscious imprints, maybe that we have carried from lives and generations and whatever it is, and something that we carry here as per our own doings. And Mansi, you mentioned that you must be authentic when you are in surrender, when you are in offering. That is what it is. So I'd like you both to delve upon two things. One, how exactly do we surrender our subconscious imprints, and how exactly do we take this journey as we embark? We may actually be physically taking a walk on the street right next to our house, in an open area. So we know, we practicing Quantos do understand the space meditation. I'd like you to little bit delve upon that part of it, and how, how do we connect the dots here? How does consciousness really become an embracing factor in our pilgrimage? So both of you, I invite both of you to actually discuss openly. So I want both of them pinned, if possible, so that, yeah, both of you, I'd like to have a conversation around this, please.
Okay, so basically your question is, how does our identity dissolve, or what can we do so that our identity dissolves? But before that, I would even like to speak on why to even dissolve the identity. What is the problem in identity? isn't it? If I am a very confident person, if my that's my identity. If I'm very smart, right, that's my identity. Why should I let it go? Isn't it? That's why I'm moving in the world, right? I think I know everything. That's what makes me moving in the world. So what's the problem in identity? So the problem in identity is that it is the identity that is a block between you and divinity. So our Upanishad said Aham Brahmasmi, and now here uh, this is something very beautiful again. So India was not just a fusion of two cultures, but of three cultures: the Upanishadic, the Aryan, and the Dravidians. And the bhakti was basically came from Dravidians. And uh, I was doing a lot of research, and that doing research, very space kind of a model of astrology also got formed. And when I was trying to form that model of which planets are more prominent in which part of the world. So when I created that model, I discovered that northern India is Mercury, okay, southern India is Moon. So the devotion always comes from the southern India. That's where it has come from. And before the Aryans came 8,000 years back, according to Tilak. The Upanishadic, the Himalayan uh, culture, Himalayan valley culture, and the Dravidians, they were living together. And a lot of people say Shiva is Dravidian god. But I always ask this question. See, that is the cultures got beautifully synchronized, harmonized in pre-Aryan period. See, where is considered the house of Shiva is Mount Kailash, which is in
Mm.
total north. He is bearing Ganga on his head that comes from Himalayas. So if there was, so that is a clear symbol of what was the kind of synchrony and harmony between the Dravidians and the Himalayan culture, right? So now then comes the Aryan culture.
Shivu, just quick thought comes to my mind. It is also a beautiful way of saying here is the ice, then here is the water. It meanders down through the rivers and comes down and merges with the ocean to complete its cycle. In a sense, Gangama connects back to the ocean and completes the cycle. So if I look at it from a science perspective, these stories match beautifully, beautifully.
Yeah. So where I started was I was talking about Aham Brahmasmi. Now, if you see the Shiva is the consciousness. Shiva is the consciousness where everything began. And that is, if you see, is the union of Dravidian and Aryan, or in fact, all the three cultures. And experiencing Shiva, experiencing Aham Brahmasmi in Shiva temple is so beautiful. And there are these dimensions of Shiva where you can experience Aham Brahmasmi, but what is the block? The block is the identity. And what is the identity? Identity is that part of you which started to become heavy and heavy because of the descending of consciousness and descending yoga cycle. So there was something that was divine in you, and that divinity turned into identity because the consciousness was low. And now, when the consciousness is rising, when we are in ascending Dwapar, then we are able to experience Shiva. Yes, even in descending yoga, people dealt with identity. That's what Buddha taught, right? Through Vipassana, that's what he taught, to dissolve the identity. But actually, that dissolution of identity can happen much, much quicker now the uh, when the consciousness around us is so high. So that's my that is the first thing I want to say. Why it is so important to dissolve your identity, because that's how you reach the peak of your potential, the crescendo of your potential. So that is the first thing. Second, how does the identity dissolves? So for that there are three steps. First, there has to be awareness. You have to become aware that I am greedy. So see, the problem in today's world, people are very selective. They want to feel good and they want to neglect everything that's not working or whatever is negative. But it's not going to work that way. For the identity to dissolve, you have to become aware of what is negative in you. The positive thinking is not going to work. So become aware. And how do you become aware? So the tool of awareness is one of the greatest tool I found is the responsibility. So let's say you were cheated by a crook. Okay. Now look, so you can say this man was so bad and he trapped me and all that. Fine, all that is true. I'm not saying that's not true. But also look into what's my responsibility in the matter. And you will find always that every time you've gotten cheated, it's because there was some greed in you and he knew it. And that's what he capitalized upon. He capitalized upon that greed. He caught that greed. He hooked you through that greed. So become aware that there is a greed. That is awareness. And then the second comes observation. Observation means that greed is inside us, in our body. It is stored as vibrations. So observe that, be in observation of that. And the third state is a surrender. Surrender means just be aware. There is God around us, there is space around us. Become aware of the space, go in Shavasana. That identity will dissolve.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
that's how. And in how are these 84 Mahadev temples are connected? In each Mahadev temple, there is a vibrational field that supports the dissolution of certain identity. And that's what stories are pointing towards. But they're not exactly pointing, because they're stories and the times were different when those were written. But that's what our effort is, to point out what kind of identity issue that story is dealing with, what kind of emotion within yourself you should become aware of. And when we look into the incidents of that kind, or when we become aware of that kind of emotion within us, you will see identity dissolving so quickly. And this path of 84 Mahadev uh, darshan is so quick. Such a quick way of identity dissolution.
Yeah, Mansi.
Um, thank you, Shiva. Here I'll say that surrender is something that happens. It's like love. You cannot be like, I'm going to surrender. You appear, and the blocks to surrender start dissolving. Um, we have these blocks, we have these patterns, we have these vasanas and sanskaras, which prevent the surrender. Surrender is a natural state of being. It is the blocks that dissolve here. And as Shiva was saying, there is specific, every temple has a specific kind of yantra which will dissolve a specific kind of karma. If you're aware, it's great. But someone like me, I told Mahadev that, I don't understand things. Please make it very clear to me. And please, let do it in a way I can understand. You know the level of consciousness, you know the level of awareness, you know my emotional makeup. I'm a very emotional person. I think in this whole journey of 84 Mahadev, Shiva has been very like he has been evolving, but he has been very steadfast. It's a constant. You know, for me, I have had questions for Mahadev. I've had doubts. I have had Mahadev to bring me back again. I have
लड़ाई भी
had
करते हैं
all
ना
these.
हम.
हाँ,
मैंने तो लड़ाई भी करी है महादेव के साथ.
मैंने भी बहुत लड़ाई की है. मीन्स मुझे एक बार तो मुझे महादेव ही वाज लाइक कि तुम्हारा गुस्सा अतिन से है, मुझसे क्यों नहीं कनेक्ट कर रही हो, उनसे झगड़ो ना, लाइक उनको गिव इट बैक टू अतिन, गिव इट बैक टू शिवो, मुझसे क्यों नहीं कनेक्ट कर रही हो. ही वाज आल्सो कि 84 महादेव के. आई सेड आप उसके बाहर मिलोगे. ही इज लाइक हाँ मैं बाबा मैं सब जगह हूँ. I was like कि आप why are you on, during Shakti sadhana, I was like why. I was very mad. I was like these people are not ready to, they are like Shiva Shiva Shiva. I was like 10 days you will not give to Shakti, and Shiva is, and I felt Mahadev come to me and he's like that I am Mahadi Shakti's number one fan. You fight with them. Why you stop connecting? I am her number one fan. So I have had many such experiences, because I feel that we are all, see, bhakti is when we call on God. Bhakta is when God comes to you. Okay, you're called and Bhagwan comes to you. That is bhakta, and we are all on a journey to bhakta, to being a bhakta, when He comes to you. And so I have had many such journeys. And I used to tell, ki you show me, and I would, I think Atin would take us for darshan on Thursday or Friday, me and Shiva. And before that, I would have either something got triggered in me, or someone, and I would want to give an example because I think Lalit won't mind. But we have you all know Lalit, and one day we have a commune, and I saw that he was leaving the commune. It was late at night, and he had left that WhatsApp group, and I wrote to him that, why have you left? What happened? And he said that, you know oh, it's I changed my phone. I have a new phone, so automatically all the groups have gotten deleted. So I said, okay, can I add your new number? He's like, yes. And because we talked, I asked him that, how are you doing? And he started telling me about his dreams, and this very unusual dream he was getting. And in a few hours, Atin took us to Sapneshwar Mahadev. And I realized how relevant this Mahadev is for Lalit, who I barely talked to twice or thrice on personal message in the whole year. But this would happen every time. There would be a certain astrological combination. And we are going sequence-wise to Mahadev, I don't even know who's going to come next. And it would be like there would be a astrological combination happening. And you would go for darshan, and you would listen to the story, and you'd be like, my God, this is most appropriate. This Mahadev dimension, this dimension of consciousness is what we need to go through this astrological combination. This would happen with this was continuous. It was not once or twice. This would happen every single time. It was really, so I invite everyone that no matter where you are in the journey, you can start there. If you are authentic, you will accelerate. But even if you're not authentic, even if you have all these layers, He will peel it off. He will meet you where you are. That's why He is Shiva. That's why He's everywhere, in everything, at every time. Because wherever you are, He is also there. Um, so I'll say that, and we talked about wormholes. You will, when you come to Mahadev, there are so many past lives. You have so many patterns. You have so many identities. You have so much. You will come there. The one that you are supposed to work on will come in front of you. That is the identity that will get triggered. That situation will play out in life, so that you can relate to it. And there are some Mahadevs, there are certain Mahadevs where you will relate more. It is like, wait, I was in this story, or it would be like, wait, is this my story? And there are those Mahadevs, and we have called them Mera Wala Mahadev, because it is, and that is the beauty, that it is universal, it is eternal, it is everywhere, and yet it is still Mera Wala. Um,
Lovely, lovely,
so I would
lovely.
say that, yeah, just be there and things will happen. Yeah.
One more,
Jayaji,
one, uh, one
point.
moment, moment.
Yeah.
Um, when Natin used to take us to the temple, I want to come to him and ask him one question, because I think the channeling was so supremely powerful because Atin was our channel. And isme, we felt, he said, be in silence. At a point when he said, be in silence, suddenly there is a rush of vibrations that you feel and experience. I think this ability to quickly, sift out the outside worries and outside stuff and just go inward and look at the world within was possible. So I just want us to quickly reflect on that part of it. अतिन, ये साइलेंस का पावर क्या था, और बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you so much. I think we are almost in conversation for a slightly over an hour. And I wonder if people are interested to have a little more conversation, around 2-3 more minutes. And then we'll ask Atin to share a little bit more. Atin, ये साइलेंस वाला बता के फिर हम एक कंक्लूडिंग रिमार्क्स इधर से ले लेते हैं.
So just I want to add to it. Definitely, we go to temple and how Shiva sir has guided that it connect with our, we introspect as per Shiva sir what to offer in particular temple. But one more I have experienced because whenever I used to sit, because I frequently go to the temple, and when I sit there, so how the temple work, like if you know the story and you are sitting, like, so some temple is for the jealousy or some past life or whatever. So when you sit there and so the Mahadev is awareness, consciousness. If I say in a very, if I just understand 1% of it, because we cannot understand. So when I sit there and like in the world we are playing out and we are living, we may have certain jealousy, so many things inside us. We may be aware or we may not be aware about it, because there is a darkness, there is, you are into your subconscious. So when we enter into the temple, this stuff of the powerful temple, so Mahadev is consciousness. And when we sit there, so there is a light, like अंधेरे में जैसे होता है कि when there is a light you can see everything clearly, and in darkness you cannot see. So Mahadev, the consciousness, in consciousness you cannot hide yourself, you cannot hide. So when you sit there and in the, as per what, in the meditative position, and you know the story, you have some awareness. So it is like, Mahadev, you it's like Mahadev stretch your all the cloth of your own, whatever the barrier was there, because of which you are not able to see that pattern within you, it really evaporate there. It's like when we bring ice into heat, it really melt. So you melt away there, you cannot hide, and you just see your pattern there, because there is a consciousness, and you see, oh, this is the pattern I'm carrying. So that awareness come there. And when Shiva sir said, now you aware about the pattern, you be with it. And that is where the Mahadev, it dissolves in the temple, when you really be in the form of surrender. So this is also I experienced. And about the silence, it is really definitely because Mahadev it is a Mahadev project, and which is holded by Shiva and Mansi. So the silence and all, I really don't know, because when I sit there in meditative position, whatever come to me, I just speak, and it all Mahadev who is, because of Mahadev we able to, because many times I really realize it is not only I'm opening the camera, it is because Mahadev want us darshan. And we have seen many times that if I did a mistake because of my own emotional, pattern, and Shiva sir really warned me that you cannot play with Mahadev. People really stopped getting experience, and people started saying me, Atin, आज तो experience नहीं हो मुझे. So I understood ki what is happening. People are saying now I'm not experiencing the same thing, and then so many things happen. I rushed to Shiva sir. Shiva sir, said that whatever guided me. Then I followed and I went to Mahakal and I really say sorry and all that. And then this happened so many times, and so this is because of this is Mahadev project. Until he can make us experience. So this is what I feel. Yes.
Thank you, Atin. Some concluding remarks on this conscious pilgrimage from both Shivo and Mansi. I really am grateful that I had this opportunity to
So,
have this conversation. Yeah.
so I would put the context of there's a lot of talk of India becoming Vishwaguru. So who's the Guru basically? Let's understand. If India is to be the Vishwaguru, Guru means if there is a lot of darkness around the world, India will show the path. That's the meaning of India being Vishwaguru. Guru is not the most powerful person. He's the most conscious, most wise person. So, yes, the world is passing through a huge chaos. It is going to pass through very, very difficult times. And yes, India is that conscious place that can show path to the whole world. But what is really needed for that to happen? We collectively, we Indians, we Hindus need to become the cosmic channels. Okay. So we need to tap into the consciousness and download what cosmos wants. That's what the guidance for the world is. And we are very fortunate in India to have such places of pilgrimage, places of consciousness, the vibrational structures in different temples. That is something very unique about India, which is not there anywhere in the world. But the unfortunately we have forgotten to connect with consciousness. We have become too much ritualistic, and in that rituals we have forgotten that we were supposed to connect with consciousness. We were supposed to connect with God, with the space. So I really wish the kind of consciousness the 84 Mahadev brings, uh, this really spreads all across India. There are these wonderful, not just
And around the world. And
yes,
around the
and
world.
around the world, yes. And these places are not there just in India, but they are there. I mean, not just in Ujjain, but they're all over India. And I'm sure if we are on, once you have the experience, you will discover these places across the world also. So I really wish this understanding of consciousness, this connection of the vibration, spread, understanding of this spread everywhere. And I really wish that uh, 84 Mahadev becomes a mass movement, a movement for raising mass consciousness. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shivo. Mansi, closing remarks for this session's
Yes,
conversations? And
yes.
don't forget to touch upon our synchronicity question that remained still a little bit more on.
Definitely, definitely. So, first of all, I will say that if this video is reaching you in some way, right? Whether it is through a post, it's a clip, it's the whole video, whether you're listening to us live, there is a longing in you to connect to Mahadev. There is a longing in you to connect to Shiva. And this longing has been answered by Mahadev through this video. He is reaching out to you. He is reaching out to you. And I would say that if you feel that too, then take an action. Connect to him. You can connect to him through this program. You can connect to him to Atin. You can connect through him in any other way. But it is a call to take an action. Um, and Mahadev is choosing. But we also have to take action. We have the longing. It is like for me, because I'm a Krishna lover, it's always like Ras, where you take a step, you have a longing, the universe will take a step, but then you have to take a step too. So if this video is coming to you, this club is coming to you, it is your time to do an action. So if you want to go further in this, take that action. And Mahadev will choose. Mahadev chose Atin as a channel. Mahadev has chosen Jayaji to bring this about to the masses. He's chosen Shiva to be the conscious. He's going to look at you. Mahadev, what is darshan? Darshan is like you are in the presence of the Deva. You're in the presence of Mahadev. Mahadev is also looking at you. That is when
Exactly.
darshan happens. He's going to look at what do you have going for you. What is your identity? What is your ego? What is your talent? What is your gift? And he's going to give
And
you
what
a
are your
role.
blocks?
Huh?
And what are your blocks? And what are your blocks?
And what are your books? So he will dissolve that because once you are in his presence, those will start dissolving. Those will start triggering. Those will start dissolving. But he's also going to look at your gifts. He's going to look at gifts that have come from past life journeys, from your understanding of this world, where you're going next. Because he's Kal, he's Mahakal. He is the past, present, and future. That is what Mahakal is. So take that step towards him if you want to take on, and it is your choice. This is very much like now. You decide if you want to take that step and take that step, and he will give you a role in life. There are roles we pick for ourselves, but they are very limited. They are limited by our consciousness, they're limited by our understanding, they're limited by our Shakti. Let him give you darshan, let him pick a role for you. Let's
Wonderful.
live, let's live his dream. It's far more grander, it's far more bigger, it's far more conscious, it's far more empowering, it's far more impactful than we can imagine. So
Wow.
thank you so much
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you
to
so
you all.
much. Thank you. It has been such a marvelous conversation and such a privilege and blessing for me to have this conversation in the august presence of Quanto Shivo and Quanto Mansi with our Quanto channel, Atin Tripathi. And at the back, telling us the story each week during the conscious pilgrimage journey of 84 Mahadev is Suman Maheshwari. And the team that plays the teamwork, for all of us, Vaijayanti, Neha, Manisha, I can name more. And if I have slipped anybody's name, Atin's family is a big, big, big supporter in making sure this happens in reality for us. So big gratitude to them as well. My gratitude is extended to this space that has made it possible for us to be in conversation. So I'm going to not speak anymore and let Atin take the floor and walk us through what happens and what are the different things that you want to talk about as you have to embark on what Shivo has guided. We have to make it a movement. So over to you, Atin. Thank you very much.
Jayaji,
Thank you.
can I add one thing to this?
Sure, sure.
So you touched upon Atan's family, and definitely, I feel that if there is one conscious person, consciousness spreads. If you are the conscious person in the family, please take that step. And if people might be against you, but that is also part of the journey. It is an intensity. Intensity can be for or against, but it is intensity. It is Shakti. Trust, trust that Mahadev will transform that Shakti. Shakti wants to merge in Shiva. So, if you are that conscious person, you will transform your family, even if they are with you against you. Your spouse, your significant other, the office place you work in. So be that be that conscious channel for everyone's lives you touch, even if they seem against you. That is also Shakti, which he will transform. That's what I would say.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Atin, the floor is totally yours. Now we will be listening to you quietly. And of course, blessings for the next step forward as we are in the process of completing one cycle, cycle of 84 Mahadev Darshan, which has happened over the period of around 2.5 years, I can say. And added to it are some flavors, some opportunities that you are going to give to the new sadhaks. Over to you, Atin. Thank you. Pranam. म्यूटेड हैं आप.
Okay, so thank you very much, Jayaji, and really grateful to you and Shivo sir and Mansi. So it was a very wonderful conversation, and so many guidance has flowed in this session. So whoever is listening in this session, I would request everyone, because this is not the project, or this is not a project about only me, because, or Shiva sir is guiding, Mansi guiding, Jayaji, or all the team members who are working for this project, but it is project of humanity. It is a project of everyone, whoever want to evolve, bring evolution in their own life, and be as a contributor, because I feel that whoever joined this program, or he is the contributor, because this is where, like Shiva sir has given us the insight of different temples, Mansi has given insight of different temple. I have received, or so many, our participant has received different messages. But this is a system where you are also come and you have your own insight into it. You will have your own contribution into it, because everything is emerging out of Shiva, everything emerging of the space, out of that supreme Lord. Everything is coming. So this has the potential to, even if you are singer, if you are a student, if you are scientist, even if you are any skill you are having, that skill is the contributing to the world when connect with the consciousness. So if you are a scientist, you connect with 84 Mahadev, you connect with Shiva, this scientific discovery will get channeling, and you receive the supreme guidance, how it is better for the world. If you are single, you have so this is a space where it is for everyone, and you will have your insight, you will have your you know so I invite everyone to join with us. It is Shiva, it is your program, and I really thank you. And we are starting, we will continue it basically, this cycle. And so this is from my side, and thank you very much, Jaji and Mansi, Shiv sir, once again. And we will come again and again, and we'll receive the guidance of masters and so many.
Yeah, Atin, momentarily, I want to also, I forgot to mention, Nitika has been behind the scenes working for this program. And I know that Uttara and others who have been helping you with whatever.
Kaval also.
Kaval.
Kaval.
So if I have
Vajan,
forgot to mention, Kaval,
Vajanti,
Nitika,
Atin. Oh, sorry.
Rupali,
Rupali, and
yeah, and Jeet
yeah,
also started. Ranjana, so many people every
yeah.
month.
So yeah,
Amit is very great contributor who
Suchi,
designed our logo.
Suchi, yeah,
Suchi, yeah.
yeah.
So many people,
So
and
yeah, so
all the
I'm
people who
sorry
have
for not
contributed to this
taking the
project.
names in a go, but as
Yeah,
I'm looking at this conversation, so many
yeah,
beautiful things are coming that
yeah,
we are here to make things happen. And sometimes when we are not able to do the best, we just hold out our hands. And there are four hands that catch us, two from this side and two from this side, and the chain makes it so beautiful. So I want to thank the Quanto
yeah.
Life team.
And even my mother, who always go with me, because there is one person which required, the temple के मैं आग बंद करके बैठता हूँ, तो मेरा मोबाइल है कि मेरा गुरुद्वार रखा है. Even if I'm sitting there and someone is saying to me, तो मम्मी will करती थी कि let him do, or she always support. Even the जो distance पे थे महादेव, she go with me because I need someone basically. So she always make sure that she go with me. So I really grateful to her also. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
thank you. So okay, so uh,
मैं जैसे क्लोज करना है हमने, हम एक दो लाइन बताते हैं जो आज के सत्र का एक सार है. Our session today was so beautiful. I just want to give a small summary of the session that happened. We explored the 84 Mahadev, conscious pilgrimage. The whole journey of conversation was all around why we should be really part of this journey and why we all are destined to be part of this larger expectation and futuristic forecast that India is the country that people are going to look up to. We are here blessed to have this space, this divine opportunity to connect and to contribute. Every one of us may have blocks or difficulties, but we just surrender and let it give us the blessing to do what we can. This is the kind of conversation we had. We are here very, very grateful to have the august presence of Quanto Shivo and Quanto Mansi and our team, the team which has volunteered, and our sadhaks who have journeyed with us in gratitude to all of them, to all the temples. And as Atin always does, he gives half of the contributions that you make as part of this journey for the welfare and the improvement of the temple's needs. Kahin pani ki tanki lagaya. Somewhere he has made water tank so that the pilgrims can who physically come could have access. Somewhere he has ensured better lighting and small repairs and maintenance. So those people who have journeyed with us and have been part of these blessings, it is with gratitude that I would like to close this session. Thank you.